Wanna hear about it? Yeah. Oh, Wakami. Oh, be the mother of sweeties. Speaking of it. Oh.
And so, just as fast as we enjoyed a nice little break kingdom, we're onto a rather difficult one. Wooded Kingdom is coming along to basically ruin our day, and very likely ruin our run. But there are things that we can do to mitigate that as much as possible, so let's go through them. Also, if I sound a little bit sick in this video, it's because I kinda am, and I am coughing all over the place, so if my voice goes a little bit weird during this, you know why. So this beginning movement in Wooded Kingdom looks rather daunting, and a little bit difficult, but when you put the time in and just break it down bit by bit, it's not as crazy as it seems. So as soon as you gain control of Mario, you want to be holding up left on your analog stick and you want to begin a roll, and you want to roll boost 4 times. Then at some point during this roll, you want to press and hold either the Y or X button on your controller and then just run directly into the rock. Because you're holding that button, Mario will just automatically pick up the rock. That way you don't have to time any button presses and accidentally throw Cappy and lose the rock and all of that kind of nonsense. As soon as you picked up the rock, you want to head towards the left, towards the bunny, jump to maintain your momentum. Then as you're heading directly towards the bunny, jump again and curve towards the right. We want to be aiming towards where the bunny is going to be, not where it currently is, as the bunny will 100% move every single time. And then assuming you've gone in the right direction, you should land practically right on top of the bunny and instantly knock it. But we're not going to grab the bunny moon straight away. We're going to head upwards, jump over this rock. Then, while continuing to run forward, you're going to press and hold either the Y or X button to throw the rock that's currently in your hands. Pick up the other rock while continuing to still walk forward, and then the rock that you threw should land on the rock that you just picked up, spawning a moon. Jump into that moon and grab it. Then after you've grabbed it, dive, recenter your camera with a bumper button, jump over the rock again, and then jump into the bunny moon. After that, throw Cappy towards the shop and dive. Then you want to roll boost towards the shop, twice is fine. Then just simply talk to the shopkeeper and buy the moon. At this point in the run, you should definitely have well over 100 coins if you've been following the strategies that I've been mentioning throughout these videos. But if you haven't quite been following along, I do have an individual video that goes over how you should be able to acquire 100 coins before Wooded Kingdom. And I recommend checking that out if you haven't already and you're struggling to get 100 coins before this point. But anyway, after you've grabbed the shop moon, turn your camera towards the left, turn around, start roll boosting into a triple jump, wall jump off the wall, cap dive back towards and dive, jump up to this other ledge, turn the corner, long jump, triple jump, cap dive onto this raised ledge, and then we're going to be making our way up to the nut moon. I know when I was starting out, this movement was rather awkward and a little bit difficult to kind of grasp, if you will. But if you start forming good habits and not bad ones, this isn't all too bad. And this is another instance where we can really utilize neutral bounces like we went over in Sand Kingdom to really make this movement as easy as possible. So once you've landed on this ledge, you want to backflip. At the peak of Mario's backflip, you want to cap throw and dive backwards. But then as you land on Cappy, you want to go neutral on your left analog stick. Or alternatively, what you can do is what Tyron has done here, which is as he's landed on Cappy, he's turned the analog stick back around forward, which is more or less doing the same thing. He's just turning Mario around in midair so that he doesn't go anywhere in any specific direction. But as soon as he's landed on Cappy, you'll see that he throws Cappy back forwards towards the nut moon, and then he's diving up top to that raised platform where it is. If you want, you can add a little motion shake here to get Cappy to knock the nut to get a free bit of damage, but it's not really necessary. That's like a tiny time save at best. All we have to do here is jump into the nut multiple times and break it open to spawn the moon. Then after grabbing it, we simply jump off, turn around, and dive, and throw Cappy at this lever. Then we want to be heading towards the left as there is a uproot that we need to be capturing. Throw Cappy at it to capture it. Head off in this direction. Then once you're at about this rock, you can start uprooting by either pressing the B or the Y button. You know, sometimes when I do these videos, button presses kind of elude me because they're just kind of second nature and I say things and I kind of like question myself. Anyway, Once you're at about this rock, you can press the B button to start uprooting as the uproot. Then while still heading towards the wall, at the peak of the uproot, I guess, you can let go of the B button, uncapture it, and dive up top. Then jump towards this nut moon, ground pound it to break it open, and grab the moon. After you've grabbed the moon, turn Mario around, head towards the edge, and then long jump, then cap dive, cap throw and dive towards this ledge, roll boost, and then roll cancel towards the uproot by pressing the Y and B button, and throw a cappy again to capture it. Then we're going to be heading into this red maze. This isn't overly difficult. We just need to uproot here to push this, thing up. Head towards the left. And now there's something about the uproots that I should probably mention that if you're unaware of is probably quite confusing. There are two methods to uprooting as an uproot. You can do the slower method of uprooting by simply pressing the B button or whatever equivalent button is on the controller. Or there's a shake input, which will make the uproot faster. But the issue with that is if you simply shake to uproot, you won't be able to cancel the uproot process, if you will. You kind of have to wait for the uproot to just automatically kick you out of it, as opposed to if you use the B button, as soon as you let go of the B button, the uproot will stop, right? So the way to get around this is if you press the B button first and then shake your controller, as soon as you let go of the B button, then the same kind of thing will happen and the uproot will instantly cancel. So this is like the fastest, most controlled way to uproot as fast as possible. You want to press the B button and then shake so that the uproot goes max speed and max height, because again, if you weren't aware, when you shake, you get slightly higher, and that can make this movement here way more simple and way faster. So press that B button, shake, head towards the right, and then as you hit the peak of the uproot's range, or whatever you want to call it, you can let go of that B button, jump up the step, and then simply jump up the next step, and then press B and shake again to shake directly into that nut moon. I'm pretty sure Tyron wasn't doing that in these clips, but I feel like it's something that I should mention because it's not really difficult, but it is important to learn. But after you've grabbed that moon, head towards the left, fall back down the hole, and then as the uproot hits the floor, you can uncapture it and dive towards the right, fall down towards the bottom, and then at this point, you want to long jump out of the red maze at about a 45-degree angle to avoid the wall. As you're in a semi-pseudo 2.5D space, you kind of have to come out at a weird angle. Then as you're long jumping out, you want to adjust your camera, as otherwise it will auto-adjust, and then during a cap dive, you will miss cappy and you will fall to your death. And you want to cap dive and dive towards the platform, roll boost into this flag, turn Mario around, dive back towards the railing, get onto the railing and ground pound boost off of it, dive onto this platform, and then roll boost into the water. Then ground pound, and simply swim into the pipe. So now that we're in flooded pipeways, this is kind of a beast all on its own. It can be rather obnoxious sometimes, and learning to go fast here is quite hard, but we've tried to simplify this movement as much as possible, while mitigating any real choke points, if you will. So if you are unaware, this entire room works on a cycle. So if you go the same speed every single time, then you will hit the exact same cycle every single time, which can be helpful in learning how to beat this as fast as possible. So the movement that Tyron is showing off here, as soon as you enter the room, you want to jump and dive, then jump and dive again, swim to the surface of the water. Then just as you've passed this roof section up on the top left, and the water level has risen enough, you can jump out of the water and wall jump off the wall on the left, to then cap throw and dive towards the right so you land on the top section of this platform. Then you can jump and ground pound in place, wall jump off the wall on the right, then cap throw and dive back towards the right after you've wall jumped, then simply jump into the moon. After grabbing the moon, throw cappy towards the left and dive straight away, run off or jump over the edge. Personally, I like to jump because I don't like when Mario wall grabs here, as it can be quite annoying. But as soon as you've fallen over the edge, simply curve back towards the right, jump over these, are they called spinies? Oh, what are their names? They're not spinies, no. What are they called? Fuzzies, right? Go back towards the right, then jump over these fuzzies here to land in the water. Chances are you'll have to wait for this cycle here and these fuzzies to open back up, but then as soon as they do, jump through them and land on this little section here and wait. And what Tyron is showing off here is a way to avoid taking any damage, as taking damage is slow, as you then have to wait for the damage refill animation to play out when you grab the moon. So ideally, if you can't do the fastest cycle possible, which we would never expect out of somebody just learning the game, the best that you can do here is to just avoid taking any damage. So, just as the water is about to rise back up, jump into the water, let Mario sink into it, and then without surfacing back towards the water yet, just continue to swim up as the water level rises, avoiding the fuzzies. And then as soon as you can, jump onto the wall jump off of it, and jump into the moon. Then as soon as you've grabbed the moon, you want to warp back to the checkpoint that we grabbed just earlier by pressing the minus button on your controller, hovering over the checkpoint on the map, and simply pressing it. As soon as you gain control of Mario, input a roll and then long jump, do a double jump, then cap dive and dive on top of this big piranha plant, then head towards the right here into this little section without any railings, do a long jump past this gap, jump to maintain your momentum, and then turn the corner. Then as you turn the corner, you can begin a triple jump sequence. And the reason that Tyron is showing off some movement where he falls down towards the bottom to finish the triple jump is because fitting in an actual triple jump in this movement here at maximum speed can be quite tight. And I feel like it requires a little bit more control over Mario than somebody who's just starting out will have. So really just any way to get over to this other platform is perfectly fine. It doesn't really matter. This is just what Tyron felt was best. Then once you're up top, you can ground pound. And then the fast way to open these nut moons that are against the wall is to throw Cappy towards the wall in a pseudo cap stall against the wall like we've explained before. This will deal the first point of damage. Then you can wall jump off the wall into the nut, which will deal the second point of damage. And then you can throw Cappy again back towards the wall to deal the third and final bit of damage. Then once you've grabbed the moon, cap throw and dive towards this angled section of the wall. You can roll boost off of this, then turn the corner, long jump towards the edge here, jump, cap throw and dive, roll boost, and then long jump into the moon. We're over halfway there now. We're almost done. After you've skipped through the cutscenes of this story move, simply jump and dive forward twice to activate the P switch, and then follow along the flower road. Towards the end, you can do a long jump, set yourself up a little bit better into a triple jump, then cap dive and cap throw and dive up top onto this platform, and then dive up top to ground pound and break open the nut moon. This is sort of similar to the fully fledged FRS movement, also known as flower road skip movement, except we're just taking it a little bit slower here. This is just the fastest beginner way to go through it. If you're not comfortable doing this big, long cap dive, you can just take the slower way around the corner. It doesn't really matter all too much. But if you're doing this movement and you're finding that you're coming up short and you're not quite making it on top of the floating platform, you're probably not delaying your cap dives enough. So we've gone through this a little bit before in the past videos, but you want to be cap diving at the very peak of Mario's triple jump, and then you want to be gaining as much distance out of the first cap dive before you cap throw and dive again. You can reach a sort of equilibrium between distance gone and no height lost. You just kind of want to find that little soft spot, if you will. But I understand if that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to someone that's just starting out. So while we are showcasing this movement, if you feel like this is more of an improvement section to you than an actual beginner strat, then honestly, go around. Nobody will think twice of it. Once you've grabbed the moon, turn Mario around, dive, and then long jump off this floating platform. Set Mario up so that you can roll boost over this corner here, and head towards this area off in the distance. Then as you're falling, cap dive and dive again to land onto the platform and walk through the door. Once you're in the tower, as soon as you gain control of Mario, simply turn to your left and begin a triple jump, then cap dive and dive up top, roll boost towards the up root, roll cancel into it, and throw out Cappy again to capture it. Then jump up on top of these blocks, then up on top of the platform on the right to activate the flower road, and follow the flower road along until this little gap in the tower where you can uproot and spawn in the moon. Then we're going to do this fancy little movement here to get back on top. So the way to make this work is as you're walking towards the edge, shake your controller to start the faster uproot movement as I explained before, and then continue to walk over the edge, and you'll notice that the uproots kind of like do this weird levitation thing when they don't have any floor underneath them, where they kind of just stay in the air for a little bit. And you'll notice that the uproot just keeps going up, so then you can turn the uproot back around in midair as it's still rising, and then let go of that B button, and you should jump up top. Then simply uproot up again to this platform and uproot into the moon. And once grabbed, uncapture and dive towards the door and roll boost out. Once you're out, ground pound, cap dive towards either the left or right, cap stall against the wall, and dive into the Spewit arena. Now all we have left is the Spewit fight. As soon as you've skipped through the cutscenes, jump and dive, throw Cappy to knock the hat off Spewit, and jump onto his head. Then he'll go into this phase where he wants to go down into his hat and shoot towards you. Wait until he charges up and heads towards you, then simply jump on top of the hat. Then it's as simple as throwing out Cappy to knock the hat off Spewit and jumping on his head again, and then simply repeating the exact same steps. This fight isn't too involved, and there isn't really all that much to go over. There are slightly faster ways to do this fight, but really, we're talking about like milliseconds at most here. Then just like the Rango fight, once the moon spawns, you can buffer a cap throw to dive towards
towards the moon and grab it straight away. Then after the story moon cutscene, you'll head back towards the Odyssey, but you'll have to skip another cutscene as technically the story for Wooded Kingdom isn't over yet, but we don't care about that. So simply jump, throw Cappy towards the bottom left towards the globe, wait until Cappy has reached his maximum distance, and then shake. Similar to what I went over for the zipper in Lake Kingdom. And then that's it. We're out of Wooded Kingdom, thank God. Hopefully nothing all too difficult lies in the next few kingdoms. So, Wooded Kingdom has quite a lot of potential upgrades, if you will, whether it's just better movement, all the way to better routes completely, which can easily push people from 6+ minute Wooded Kingdoms down into the mid 530s, or even below. But we're not going to tackle everything in this video. We're going to try and focus as much as we can on simply movement optimizations as opposed to route differences, because those route differences I've covered multiple times in different videos on the channel. So let's just jump right into that and let's get started. So first up, we're taking a look at an upgraded way to go about this flower road movement, or I guess in this case, skipping over it entirely. This trick here is known as flower road skip and can be achieved in a few different ways, whether it be from this ground pound roll cancel method to a slower jump diving method to the faster spin pound into a roll cancel method. But overall, picking one of these faster ways is a pretty valuable way to save a few seconds. The simple ground pound method saves about 3 seconds. But in saying that, it definitely is quite a little bit difficult to pick up. This roll cancel isn't quite as easy as it might seem at first glance, or honestly, this might terrify you looking at it, to be honest. I think the easiest way to show how to do this roll cancel is to mention that you should be watching Tyron's left analog stick. You'll see that when he roll cancels, instead of simply roll canceling directly left and then moving the analog stick up, you'll see that he roll cancels and kind of moves the analog stick along in like an arc motion. That allows Mario to roll cancel in a direction and then redirect his momentum in a way that allows you to travel in a direction that's completely opposite to the direction that you should really be heading, if that makes sense. Then after that, it's as simple as timing a triple jump off the railing, which definitely isn't simple at all and takes quite a lot of practice, into a delayed cap dive, cap throw and dive, long jump, continue that momentum into a triple jump, and then getting up onto the floating platform similarly to before. This next little clip is a small one on purpose. It's just to show you the difference between turning around and diving in midair and then long jumping off the ledge instead of hitting the floor, turning Mario around and then long jumping off the ledge. Tyrone snuck this one in there, and I mean, it's a free half a second, so you know, there's no reason not to. This next piece of movement involves a little bit of spin pound action right at the beginning and just setting up better movement in general. So you'll notice that at the beginning, we're making it up the waterfall area without having to wall jump off the wall. That right there saves a little bit of time. Then you'll see there's this fancier movement roll canceling over the edge to get a tighter line towards where we need to head next, which saves additional time. And all in all, it saves about 1.5 seconds, which honestly, if I'm going to put this in after the fact, isn't as much time as you would hope for, considering how difficult this movement is. Don't get me wrong, this can show you what more advanced movement can look like, but this one, I think you should maybe skip on if moving Mario at a super brisk pace isn't quite where you're at yet. This can be quite difficult, especially the roll cancel around the corner, but it is there if you're ready for it. Next up, we have some improved pipeways movement. As I mentioned before, this entire sub-area is based on a cycle, so to hit that cycle, we need to just be as fast as possible until we reach this point later on, and then just jumping and cap diving at a perfect time to avoid the Fuzzy's hitboxes so that we can make it up to the moon without having to wait for that water cycle to come back up, saving us almost 6 seconds. This one is probably the one that you should focus on the most. It saves quite a lot of time, and while it can be a little bit difficult to learn and wrap your head around at first, especially considering you need to do everything perfect up until that end point, it's definitely worth learning. Once you've got it down pat, you'll never forget it. If you want a more in-depth description on how to get fast pipes, I have a video on the channel. It's a little bit old at this point. It was one of the first videos that I did, but it's there. Next up, we have the improved nut around the corner movement. I alluded to this in the description part of the video just before. Literally all it is turning that corner and utilizing short hops, which can be achieved by simply tapping the jump button as opposed to holding it, to space out a triple jump so that you can cap dive and dive on top of the nut, ground pound it to break it open, and then instantly pressing the dive button so that Mario bonks against the wall so that you're in place long enough to grab that moon as it spawns in. All in all, it saves about a second and a half, which is pretty substantial. This is mostly just due to not having to wall jump as many times and stuff like that, but still pretty cool. And last up, we have some improved tower movement here. Instead of doing a triple jump, we actually start off this movement with a buffered cap throw. Or for me personally, I've always liked to just do a quick little jump and then a cap throw instead of buffering it, as sometimes the buffer can be a little bit weird and not work, but that's just a personal preference. Into then a cappy return jump, delay that jump out a little bit, and then cap dive, cap throw, and dive up top. Roll boosting towards the onion boy, and then capturing it like normal, and then going about the rest of the movement as per usual. This movement is much more fluid, and overall it ended up saving about half a second. It's pretty substantial. It's not all that much harder. No reason really to not throw it in. If you're getting up there and improving in your gameplay, it's worthwhile. But that's it for today, gamers. I hope this has been helpful. You know the drill by now. If you're looking for any further resources, consider checking out the other socials down in the description for both myself or Tyron, or potentially even some of the other sources that are linked down there as well that go beyond just us two. I hope the wait was worth it. I'll see you guys next time.